Hello folks, this is Steve here. Welcome to Album Battle. If you've been watching Greg the Egg's channel, he's been doing this battle of the albums where he gets two albums, grades them both out of 10, gives them a mark out of 10 each, tops them up at the end and see who wins. And we was having a discussion last week about Sad Wings of Destiny and Screaming for Vengeance. And what I thought I'd do is, well, I didn't think, because I don't think I ain't got the brain power to think. We both came to the conclusion, why not do a battle involving this album, Screaming for Vengeance. Is it the right way round? Yeah, that's better. And this album, Sad Wings of Destiny. If it was on covers, I'd go for that album all day long. It'll be an easy winner, Sad Wings of Destiny. But unfortunately, my life ain't that easy. And it has taken me quite a long time to do this. But in the end, I did it. And as you know, Sad Wings is my favourite album by theirs. But I haven't judged it on I've kept the personal bit out of it. I've judged it on quality of vocals, riffs and music ability and all this sort of stuff and a lot of other things. Also, I have sort of judged it on my own personal taste as well, but it was mainly done on the quality of vocals and the riffs as well. Also folks, I know Sad Wings was their second album, and Screaming for Vengeance was released sort of like 4 or 5 years later, 6 years later, 82. And I know it's going to be better because obviously production were better. It's to do with the producing of the record, and obviously they were improving. And because if you listen to Sad Wings of Destiny, especially on a track, I think it was let's have a quick look. Dream Deceiver, that was a very proggy track, because obviously prog rock was a thing of the 70s, where you go on to something like Screaming for Vengeance, where it was, you know, all heavy metal, and I have took that into consideration as well. So I know it's basically because Sad Wings sort of was their sound in its infancy, and Screaming was when it was sort of like in its teenage years, if you know what I'm talking about. So I took all this into consideration as well, and given them a mark out of 10 for each song. And that was basically the task. So here we go. Let's have a look, see what we've got. And I've got the official shirt on, Greg. Thanks for sending me this. It's the Mr. Finnegan with a hot dog. I thought I'd put that on. Also, I apologise again unreservedly about the lighting. We've had nothing but rain in this country now for 2 weeks, and it's probably rained every single day. It's got so bad a mate of mine can't even put his plough through the mud in the fields because the fields are all too muddied up, and it's just ridiculous. I'm going to start thinking about building a submarine or a boat if it gets any more. It's getting biblical now in this country, but it's just rain. But also, I can't complain though, because I don't even watching your news. All we get is Brexit over here, and it's getting really depressing now. And I'm thinking of emigrating, but I don't know where to yet. There's a place in Vancouver that's sort of whetting me fancy. Anyway, folks, here we go then on with the battle. And the first track of Screaming for Vengeance is the Hellion and Electric Eye. Now I'm not going to talk about that one because that was an easy 10 out of 10. You can't beat that song. It's just sheer brilliance. I'm not going to even talk about that one. Riding on the Wind. Now I've given this one a 10 as well. It's got a good riff, good vocals, and I like it. And I think it's a great song. Maybe I was over generous with it. Maybe it's probably about an 8.5 or 9. But I just think that, to me, it's one of the best tracks on the album. So I lit that into consideration as well. So I gave it a 10 out of 10. Bloodstone. Let's have a look. I gave that 9.5 because of its riff. Probably, again, I was a bit over generous with it. But again, it's a great Judas Priest song, brilliant. Hang on a sec. Take These Chains. Now that one's a 0 out of 10. Not a thing I liked about that song. I sort of tried to give it a couple of points. To me, I wrote down album filler. If it came out as a single, I wouldn't buy it, and it's just, to me, it's just an album filler. You may disagree, you may agree. Stick your comments below, but to me, a 0 out of 10. Now, the next track is Pain and Pleasure, and you may notice as well, I'm not playing any of the tracks either, because of copywriting. Also, because I ain't got time, basically. If you want to hear the tracks, just go onto YouTube. It's a very, very, well-known album. You'll find them. Pain and Pleasure. I think I was over generous with that track, but I'll give it a 6. It's and that's it on there. It's a better song. I wrote better than the above, better song and vocals. That's what I wrote about it. But maybe again, I'm being a bit over generous, but I gave it a 6. Now, the next one was Screaming for Vengeance. You have to give that one a 10. But again, I was over generous, because it's never ever, on a personal matter, on a rock, what Greg would say a rock song, it's definitely a 10 out of 10. But if I was doing it as a personal man, on my own personal taste, I'd probably give it a 6. Screaming for Vengeance has never been my favourite Judas Priest song. Sorry folks, but there it is. But because I marked it on the riffage and the vocals and the stuff like that, I've got to give it a 10 out of 10. It's just a great, great song. But it's never ever been one of my favourites. But yeah, I'm sorry about this. I'm just turning the page. Here we go. You've Got Another Thing Coming. I love that song. It's one of the magic songs on this album. It's just got a great Halford vocal, great riff. It's just a great song. But I've given it 8 out of 10. Great song. Maybe I was under generous with that one, but it's 8 out of 10. That's what I've given it. It's a good song. Now the Fever. It's a good, honest metal track I put. Good riff. And I gave that one an 8 out of 10 as well. But I've always, on Devil's Child, which is the last track off this album, I've given that a 9 out of 10 because it was slightly better to me. It's my ears only, but that's what I've given it. And I played this album twice, and yeah, there you go. So that's the marks for Screaming for Vengeance. Now, what next one on the Oki, that's a darts phrase in the UK, is this album, Sad Wings of Destiny. Played this one. This is my favourite Judas Priest album of all time. It's got some great stuff on there. I never get tired listening to this album. I've played it about 3 or 4 times since I've had it. Just if you're ever going to start a Judas Priest collection off, this is the one to get. It's the essential album you want to get first. Then you'll build them up. You'll see how they progress through the years. But I love this album. Victims of Changes. That's a no-brainer. 10. Saw them perform that when they were alive. When I saw them, it was just one of the best tracks of the set. Going back to the Screaming for Vengeance, the only track they didn't perform was Hellion. The first two, what was it? Sorry, I forgot. They did not perform the Hellion or Electric Eye when I saw them. That was the only disappointment. But hearing them do Sad Wings Victims was a 10 out of 10. It's got mind-blowing vocals, brilliant riffs, and it's a song only Halford can do. I'd like to see somebody else try that track. So I've given that a 10. Ripper has always been one of my favourite songs off that. But I've given it a 9 out of 10 on the fact it's a good track, but it's not as good as Victims, so it's got a 9. But it's still a solid track, can't go wrong. Dream Deceiver, I've given an 8. Good vocal performer, very sort of it's like a proggy, mellow sort of track. But it's still a phenomenal vocal output with Rob Halford. Amazing track. So I gave that an 8. Deceiver, It's got a good vocal, and I've given that a 9 as well. Now, well, I've done. Hang on a minute. Yeah, Prelude. I haven't given that a mark because I think that was a prelude to Tyrant. I may be wrong, but I think what it did was they put the intro on one side, and I presume it's part of the Tyrant, so I haven't given it a mark. But Tyrant to me is a 9 out of 10. It's a great song, solid rock song. Now, Genocide is definitely a 10 out of 10. This is a very raw version because it was their first recording. If you want to hear a good version of it, look at the Rob Halford solo live album. I think it was in South America he did it. It's brilliant off that. But yeah, I'll give Genocide a 10 out of 10 all day long. It's got the perfect intro, great metal and great lyrics. Everything's brilliant on it. It's sort of... that's why I signed on the dotted line and became a metal fan. It's just a brilliant metal track. You just can't go wrong with it. It's amazing. Now, next one was Epitaph. This is a tough one. It's basically it's sort of the weakest track off the album. It's very, very mellow, but the vocals were brilliant. It's amazing. I don't like the music. The music style was a bit funny. It reminded me of that old style New York, if you know what I mean, like New York. But I liked it better than Chains off the Screaming album. If you compare them two records, which I did, I gave Epitaph a 5 on the basis it was far superior in Chains and probably a couple of tracks off the Screaming album. So I've given that a 5 out of 10. Now, the one I like off Sad Wings, to me, it's a little gem, but it sort of is Island of Damnation. It's not as good as Ripper or the other songs, but it's definitely a good, solid metal song. So I gave that one an 8. Yeah, it's just a good track, really, really good song. So what I did was I totted them all up. That took me ages. I didn't know I was that good at maths. And Sad Wings got 59, and Screaming for Vengeance got 69. So Screaming for Vengeance won it on technical ability, music and stuff like that. So that was a surprise. So there you have it here, folks. So listen, I think Greg's onto something with this, what he's doing. Please support him and subscribe to his channel. It's Blackmore Rules. And I urge you, from behalf of Greg, 'cause it wasn't my idea. I'm too thick to have ideas anyway. Greg's the ideas man. If you've got a couple of favourite albums in your collection, give them a battle, an album battle, and see which comes out winner. And just not judge them on a personal thing, but judge them on the music, the riffs, and you'll be thoroughly surprised. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this show. You may agree with me or you may not. Please put your thick thoughts in the comments below. Please sub to the channel and carry on watching. And I'll see you in the next couple of days, because the next one's going to be on the incoming stuff. But I've got the stuff coming through the post. I'm waiting for it to build up before I start showing stuff. Well, folks, take care and have fun.